Welcome with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 13. Now abideth faith, hope, charity. These three. But the greatest of these is charity. And I repeat that. Now abideth faith, hope, charity. These three. But the greatest of these is charity. Why is the greatest of all of these charity, which is love? Because God is love. Love is the answer to all things. Love truly does conquer all. Love is the answer. When you don't know what to do, when you're coming against somebody and they just like, and just this and that, change your hatred and frustration and the things that they annoy you. Change it to love and see the difference, the major outcome that you will have once you change those feelings, whatever all the feelings are, and you change it to love. And you see the major difference in the outcome that you have. The best example I can give is when you don't particularly like somebody. Any and everything that they do will annoy you. It will get on your nerves and will frustrate, and you don't even know why. And it's because it's just them. But if you see that person in a different light, if you was to see them as your own personal child or somebody that you was madly in love with, if you start looking at them and seeing them in that vision and in that love, how the things will change. How the things that they so-called did to you would no longer be annoying or a nuisance or wouldn't get on your nerves. It is God's love for us that He's able to forgive our sins. All the things that we do, all the awful and terrible things that we do. And we have done some pretty awful things. Not just as what we have done individually, but together as a whole, what we have done not only to ourselves, but to all of God's creation that He has done. We have utterly destroyed the very beautiful things that He has created. How many of y'all have created something or made something? Whether it be like creating a whole world in a video game, made all this beautiful artwork, or just had this, whatever. And then somebody comes along and has destroyed every bit of it. You're just so frustrated. You're so mad. You're so hurt. And it kills you and you just can't understand. There's many people who won't forgive family members or children because they have done something terrible to something that they have created or loved, or burned down a house or wrecked a car or what have you not. Yet we have destroyed the very things that He has created, things that are just beautiful, and we have taken for granted. The things that He has made. If we was to look at this earth and be like, God created that. Who am I to destroy it, to disrespect it? Just like when people go, if there was a church and somebody went through and tagged up a whole church and utterly vandalized it, the heartbreak that would come across Christians or Christ followers, and would see how could they do that to the house of God? We have done the same thing to the things that God has created. So when we start looking at things and seeing people through the love of God, things will change dramatically. Instead of seeing somebody as a homeless person and see, oh look, there is a child of God. Instead of looking at your enemy as an enemy, and look at it as your brother who you love dearly, or your sister who you love dearly. That's why love is the most important out of all things, because God is love. And it's that love, it is that very love that He pours out on us each and every single day, that He chooses not only to forgive us of our sins, but to forget our sins. And so a lot of people, they have got it wrong, because the world teaches us, oh, if you're going to, you go ahead and forgive, but don't forget. Don't pay attention to that. That is not biblical. And yes, you should. You very well should forget it. If you forgive it, then you need to forget it. Because holding on to something, saying, oh, I forgive you, but I won't forget, is not forgiving. Because you're holding on to it. And for what reason are you holding on to it? But other than to throw it back up in their face. And if you start to throw something back in somebody's face, then you do not truly forgive them. You're still holding on to it. You're not letting it go. To forgive is to let go. That means you need to forget it. People say, oh, you shouldn't forget. So that way, when they come to do it again, you won't allow it to happen. But God says that you need to forgive 70 times 7. That means it doesn't matter how many times that they was to do something to you, you need to continue on. So you don't need to hold on to it to protect yourself. You need to let it go. You need to forget. God chooses to forget the very sins that He forgives us of doing. And so we must put forth that love towards everything and everyone, because God has done it for us and continues to do it for us daily. Jesus committed the most ultimate sacrifice that anybody could ever do, but God, daily, He sacrifices a piece of Himself all the time to each and every single one of us. Because of our actions, because of our free will, because of our choices. He continues to keep pouring out love. No matter what we have done, He chooses love.